Welcome to the Fishbowl Radio, everybody. My name is Chief here. Joining me today is Jalen. We're doing a Louisiana Ragin Cajun men's basketball preview and Louisiana Ragin Cajuns women's basketball preview as we update them going through their schedule here. We're not too far away from baseball season as well, and we will have updates to them sometime either next week or the week after that. So we'll, planning it out, doing season previews and that kind of thing. So Jalen, welcome to the Fishbowl, buddy.
Hey, thanks for having me again, Chief. And a 3-game winning streak doesn't look so bad right now for the men's team. They put it all together. Let's see if they can continue it.
This is kind of like a crazy thing, though, too, as well. If you look at the men's basketball team here, like a lot of people were kind of down them a little bit. And like I said before, episodes ago, basketball is one of those that you can just get hot at the right time and, go on a tear and start winning a bunch of games here, which, it all sets up for the Sun Belt Conference tournament. And if you can win those games, you put yourself in a really good position to where you can navigate and maybe make the NCAA tournament for back-to-back years, which is Kobe Julian scored 900-some points in his career so far for the Cajuns. So that's a good accomplishment for him as we continue this 2023 dash through 2024 men's basketball season. So as we go down into it here, let's start looking at the remaining schedule for the Cajuns here. So looking ahead here, got Texas State on Saturday. That's something you got to look forward to. And on Thursday, you got Arkansas State as well. But Cajuns played Arkansas State a little bit earlier this year. They ended up beating them 84-77. Right now, Arkansas State's RPI is 249 right now. This is a home game that the Cajuns are playing, and the Cajuns beat them by a good bit on on the road, 84-77. It was like a 7-point win for the Cajuns there. So looking ahead here, the Cajuns have a net ranking of 125, RPIs at 129. So the way it's looking, the Sun Belt is not really a really good basketball league. From what it's looking like here, that's one of the things you got to look out for here. So that's one thing that you kind of struggle with. So, Jalen, what you think has helped the Cajuns through this 3-game winning streak here? They've scored 84, 86, 88. So if they can get above that 70-point range, they'll win these games, it looks like here. Very seldomly they lose an 85-point game. Wright State was one that was early in the year that they scored over 80 and they ended up losing. So I'm trying to see any other over 80 they lost here, but nope, none of that. Only Wright State was only game. So if the Cajuns get above 80-some points, only have lost one time with that. So what you think, Jalen?
I think, Chief, now they're making shots. I think the Cajuns throughout the year were able to make shots. It's just they needed to improve more in the three-point shooting. They needed to get a little bit better with the rebounding. I think over the course of the last three, not just the win, I think through the last 5 games, they've gradually continued to shoot the ball well, and they've continued to rebound well. Hosanna is crashing the boards. Joe Charles is crashing the boards. And Kobe Julian, who, like we've been saying all year, should be one of the finalists so far for Sun Belt Player of the Year. He's playing great. I think they're starting to click on all cylinders so far. I know it's still early, and like you said, March is the time that you really need to click when that Sun Belt tournament, get into the big dance. But as far as right now, the end of January, they're looking good.
Yeah, so looking at the standings here, we're going to keep track of the standings here because it's going to be important how your seeding is. So if you get in that top 4 seeding, like we've talked about last week here, definitely gives you a easier path because you're playing less games, less chances to lose, obviously, and get yourself knocked out. So as we're looking at the standings here, App State currently leads the way, followed by James Madison, and then Southern Miss. Troy's right there at 4. Louisiana's there at 5. So they're 4-3 in conference play so far, 11-8 overall. So they're only 2 games back from App State here. So if you look at the remaining schedule here, they have a path there for sure. So if they win against Arkansas State and they could beat Texas State here, they do have App State on the road. So if they could get a win against them, that'd be one game that we're going to circle on our calendar to kind of watch for on February 17th here if things remain the same for the Cajuns here. Because who they're playing up against, Arkansas State and Texas State and all them, they're further down the line. They're tied with Arkansas State in the conference, but they have a tiebreaker over Arkansas State because they beat them before. So if they can beat Arkansas State, they'll be at 5-3. And you got Troy and Southern Miss in there. They drop one of these 2 games here. then you're going to have a situation where it's going to look like Arkansas State and them is going to be kind of in a bad spot there because Troy's right there, App State's right there. I'm trying to see if they got anybody else here on the remaining schedule here. Southern Miss is ahead of them too, so they got 2 games against Southern Miss later on in the year. So if they can somehow win both of these here, like if they can go on the road and beat Southern Miss, I think they'll get them at the Cajun Dome too. I think they'll end up beating them at the Cajun Dome. I think that's one thing that, because Cajuns play very well at home. They are very solid at home, so they're gonna have 4 straight, no, 5 straight games at home. I was miscounting them here before they go back out there on the road to Norfolk, Virginia, which a struggle against a struggling Old Dominion team. So the Cajuns have been shooting, like you said, Jalen. They've improved their shots so far. So South Alabama actually did better than the Cajuns did, shooting the field goals, like the 2 point line there. They beat them in free throws. The only way that the Cajuns beat at South Alabama was the 3 point shooting. They were 10 of 20 from beyond the arc, shooting 50%, which is extremely high. South Alabama wasn't no slouch behind them either. They were shooting 38.9%, shooting 7 of 18. But that's the thing. They, get wide open shots, you hit them. Look, they were feeling it beyond the arc that night. Texas State, they were able to easily dispose of them here because they were shooting 38.5, hitting beyond the arc, 7.7 for them. So that right there is obviously a glaring, comparing team issue here. Texas State made this a little more competitive for themselves, thank God, because they would have got destroyed. Cajuns beat Texas State 86-68. So, but looking back on this here, I think the Cajuns win these next 2 games here. I think they take care of business against Arkansas State and then Texas State here. Texas State didn't shoot the ball that well. I don't expect them to shoot better against them. They only won 5 games. Arkansas State's got a losing record this year too. UOM, they should easily beat UOM too next week. South Al is going to give them a challenge, I think, here. The Cajuns probably won't shoot that well beyond the arc the second time they play against each other because just the law of statistics and average, if you look at their 3-point shooting in the last 3 games, can kind of tell you how they've been. 50% against South Alabama, 38.5% against Texas State, and 38.5% against Arkansas State. So you can basically say they'll probably make 38% of their 3-point shots here if you're looking at it from a good lens there. Like Coastal, they shot 34.6, Troy 29.4. So if the Cajuns hit that 3 ball, they're going to be a very tough team to beat. So what you think, Jalen, about these upcoming matchups this week?
Yeah, I think as far as is this week, I have the Cajuns winning. I mean, they have you already counted it. 5 straight home games against Sun Belt competition, and they already on a 3-game winning streak from winning 3 games. Not only winning 3 straight games, winning 3 games straight on the road. I mean, I think it's looking good. And who they have come to Arkansas State, Texas State, and then ULM. I think I don't want to go too far ahead of myself. I think they'll win all 3 of those games and continue this win streak, continue building that momentum until they have the next matchup with South Al, a team who's shown that they can shoot the ball as well.
Yeah, it's gonna be a really gritty one there. So, I mean, we both got them winning, so that's gonna put them in pressure back situation here. We're gonna look at the top 2 guys and see where they're in the Sun Belt standings here and see who they're playing against here. James Madison, they do have a win over the Cajuns because they played earlier this year. App State, and we're gonna look at their schedule here real quick to see who they got going up against here. So App State plays Georgia Southern. They got a big matchup this week as well. App State, they're playing James Madison. So, one of them is going to lose somewhere. So the Cajuns are in this mix for sure here. They'll play James Madison. And then, they don't play James Madison. And they ended up beating James Madison earlier in the year. Very low scoring game with that there. So if James Madison can beat App State, that'd be the perfect way for them to actually end it for the Cajuns here, helping them out here. So James Madison, they're going to take on this week. They'll take on Old Dominion on the road. They'll take on App State on the road. But their next, I didn't see them. They played Southern Miss earlier and they ended up losing to them. So look, it's going to be one of those things that we'll see what happens here. They were on a tear. Now they kind of faltered a little bit. So we'll see what happens here when we get closer to these games here. That App State game is going to be huge. It's going to be ESPN2. It's going to be a lot of determining who's going to be on top of the conference at that point. So a lot going on in the Sun Belt men's basketball race here. So we'll see what happens when we get down the road here. So we're switching gears now. We're going to head to Louisiana Ragin women's basketball and flip it on the side right there and to see what's going on there. So Jalen, it hasn't been the best of seasons for women's basketball. This past week they had a lot of girls out, a lot of women out in their game against UOM. They ended up losing to Troy. You know, we're kind of wondering, is there a time for them to get hot, right? So, you know, trying to like find a good silver lining of the situation here, but you know, you just need wins at this point. So Coastal and Texas State coming along here. Their RPI is over the 200 right now. The Cajuns are currently RPI tracking them 164. Net ranking is 226. Their quadrant 2 wins is 1 and 2, 0 and 2 in quadrant 1. So they haven't really done well in quadrant 3 either, 1 and 5. Quadrant 4 is like they're undefeated in both in the RPI, but they have one loss in the net ranking. So I got them splitting. I think they'll beat Texas State. No, they'll beat Coastal Carolina. I got them losing to Texas State. What you think of Jalen?
I mean, just following the team and looking at the games that they have coming up, it's just crazy because the team we saw at the beginning of the year, they lost to a SEC team in Auburn by 6 points. It is not the same team we're seeing right now, and it's like the women's team would go from winning a game, then losing two straight, then win a game, lose another two straight. I mean, they lost to ULM, they also lost to Troy. And I think at some point, Chief, you got to ask yourself if Tamara Johnson is coming off the bench against Troy, that's how you know the season is not going the way that we all predicted it for go, or Coach Broadhead predicted it to go. So I think the women's team they're right there at the bottom of the Sun Belt. They're ahead of a few teams, I would say, but it's just not looking good so far this year unless they're able to start making some adjustments. I guess Coach Broadhead is making lineup adjustments and trying to see what's working and what's not. And if it keeps producing, these L's and it's not working. But I hope that you'll be able to figure it out not only with the lineup, but the girls, playing even more games together to try to turn the season around because it's not looking good so far.
So if you look back at their last couple of games here, there's one stat that kind of sticks out to me, and that's their free throw shooting. Um, I mean, it's been kind of all over the place, inconsistency for sure. They had a perfect free throw shooting attempts, but like it's 12, 13. They're not getting to the line, 11, 18 when they played UOM attempts, 8 against Troy. Like if they could, draw more fouls, I think the women, they're actually shooting pretty decent across the board. So you got to wonder what's the difference and what's the problem with them right now. The stats are telling me, and if you watch the games, they don't like you're not thinking about while you're watching the game, but whenever you take a step away and you start looking at this stuff here, if they had 18 attempts against Arkansas State, right? They won that one, but it was a 1-point win. If you had like 7 more attempts there and you're hitting 90% of your free throws, Arkansas State got 16. Troy had 17 when they ran through the Cajuns there. UOM had 22. Troy had 13 when they lost again. And the Cajuns only had 8 attempts. So if they could get to the line, the free throw line more, that's easy points. That's free points, right? So, I mean, you just try to get that there. I would be more aggressive. I think that's part of the problem here. Dump it inside, get down to your post, and draw a foul, throw a shot up there if you got to. But make hard contact whenever you're trying to get down low. Because if you can make that hard contact, you will get to the line. You'll probably. I mean, their free throw shooting is like 72 against UOM, 62.5, 90.9, 30.8. That's when that was a bad game against Troy. They 100% against James Madison. Just you start looking at this stuff here, like they ended up beating Old Dominion, but they got to the line 26 times. And it's just one of those things here. Like if you can get a lot of attempts going on the free throw line, you probably got a pretty good chance there. What you think, Jalen?
Yeah, I think obviously, I mean, and I know one of the tough things of basketball is, you're trying to get the contact, you're trying to get to the line. But not only you need to get to the line, but you need to make the free throws when you're at the line. And I just think I mean, the Cajuns just need to take it to the basket, make the refs blow the whistle, get some easy points. Free throws should be the easiest thing when you're out there playing on the court. And you get there, shoot it one, you get two. I mean, two, who knows? You might get fouled on a 3-pointer, and you got to shoot 3 free throws. I mean, you never know. And those points add up at the end of the game.
I mean, if you go to the line 20 times and you make uh go to it 20 times, you make 10. I mean, that's 10 points right there. You're only shooting 50% of that point, but if you make 18, you're going up there and getting 36 points, which is that's a huge swing of points right there. So if they get to the line more, they will easily be able to increase their point output. And I think they would win a couple of more games doing so there. That's just one instance where it might be, kind of easy to get points and, be able to build upon a lead and actually win games there. So that's the whole point here. But hopefully they can turn it around, start climbing up the Sun Belt Conference standings. Right now, they're not looking too good right now. I just don't like talking about the standings for the women because it's kind of brutal to talk about, but we got to bring it up here, Jalen. So looking at it from this perspective here, why is it okay? Let me go scroll down a little bit here so I can pull it up here real quick. Basketball standings for women. Marshall's undefeated 7-0 right now. Cajuns are 2-5 in conference. Yeah, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They fell behind Southern Miss. Now they're 11th. So they lost the last two. So the Cajuns still have time to climb it up for sure. They have the 5 games back, but you got to start winning ball. You got to start winning games now. Like this is the part of the season where you have to start winning. You got Marshall later on in the year, Coastal Texas State, Southern Miss right there. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You're not mathematically out of it yet, but you can't lose games anymore. You got to start getting on a hot streak and start winning. This is the time is now for the women's basketball team to, you know, push ahead and get some wins here. This is the time to do it right now. It's either now or never. So we'll see what happens. But thank y'all for tuning into this episode here at the Fishbowl Radio. Hope you have a great and wonderful day, night, whatever time you're watching this podcast. So, Jalen, anything you want to say before we get off the air here?
Uh no, nothing much, Chief. Just thanks for having me again. It's been it's been great talking about Cajun sports, and it's even better when your teams are winning. So I hope the women can start winning more, and I hope the men continue winning. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, thank y'all for tuning in here. For Jalen, my name is Chief, and I'll see y'all here next time here on Fishbowl Radio.